Commanders family, welcome into another episode of Next Man Up, a very special episode of Next Man Up here in the Big Bear AI Command Center studio. To the left of me right now is our new defensive coordinator. For the first time, welcoming into the studio, Daronte Jones. Sir, first things first, congratulations, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. Listen, this is your crib, right? You home now. I just appreciate you sharing a little bit of your time with us. You've been very busy.
It feels good being back
sir,
home.
Man.
Yeah.
How surreal is this, man?
You know
because
what?
This is the crib.
It is. It hasn't really hit me. You know, it's been more so the family and the friends reaching out, and they're asking me, like, how does it feel to be back home? And, you know, you kind of hit the ground running. So you're trying to get free agency, trying to get the foundation going with the playbook and things of that nature, film evaluation. So it hasn't hit me yet, but I'm sure it will. But it does feel good to be back home.
I mean, when does it hit you, though, right? Like, you did your intro press conference. Now you're doing this, like, interviews. You're going to be more busy. Like, this is probably the least busy you're going to be.
You know what? It may hit me probably when you have a moment to just kind of catch your breath and take it all in.
Yeah.
And if not then definitely that first game.
Boy, I tell you, it's coming quick. Well, I do hope you get that time, man, because just what a blessing it is for you to be here, right? Like, but you earned this. You've been a part of so many different schemes, so many different defenses, and now you come into a place where you're under Dan Quinn, who is also a guy that has a ton of defensive background. Yeah. What was those initial conversations like with Dan Quinn? How has it been being able to work with him in this short period of time?
It's been phenomenal with Dan. I mean, just his knowledge, his experience, but more than that, his leadership, and you can feel that he's a great person, right? Like, and so you're talking about the man that he is and the values that he has, and just being a part of that. I've come to understand in this profession, it's not where you work, but it's who you work with. And so the people are more important, and obviously he values that. And so that was a huge factor for me, and everything that I've heard about him was just spot on. And so for me, it was like, this is sweet. And we started talking the same language, and his vision of defenses in terms of, you know, fundamentals and techniques and the physicality. That's all it is, right? And that's what this game is about. The X's and O's is just X's and O's. But when you have the fundamentals and techniques and the importance of that and the details and the teaching and the communicating, those are the things that are valuable to me, which obviously he's aligned with. So I just thought the natural connection was there. We just kind of clicked right away, and we were just rolling. It was good.
And we love hearing that natural chemistry because we're going to be honest, you were a hot commodity, right? You had some options. Like, people wanted you. You decided to come back home, and yes, we understand it's home, right? Everybody loves being home, but at the end of the day, this is your livelihood. This is your life. This is your family's life. What makes you decide, this is where I need to be, this is the job for me?
The alignment. I thought Washington had, with ownership, Josh Harris, and management with Adam Peters. Plus, Adam remembered me when I was sleeping in the locker room at UCLA.
Wow.
That's why I first met Adam. But then Dan Quinn and having a quarterback, you know, to be successful in this league these days, it's an alignment, and it's from top to bottom. And I felt that alignment here, and I was like, this is a great place, great opportunity. And it just happened to be here. But the alignment was the first thing.
Yeah, for sure. And you see that because when Dan Quinn talks about you today, somebody asked him, like, what kind of scheme do you want to run? How involved are you? He said, this is his world. Yeah. I want him to run what he wants to run. Right. You don't always get that kind of faith and belief, especially for a first-time DC.
Exactly.
Man, how valuable is that
trust?
That
was huge. That's huge, and that's valuable. And again, that's just a testament of who he is, you know, and the faith and how he believes in people. But yet, not only that, he will continue to be a valuable ear. I'm going to be, you know, picking his brain because he just has a wealth of knowledge. And so for him to have that support and to be there, I mean, it's how can you not be successful?
And that's not only a testament to Dan Quinn and who he is. It's a testament to the work you've put in. Because like I said, you have been a part of every level of football. You have seen so many different defensive schemes, and I know you talked about versatility. How has all of that experience, all the different places, all the different minds you've been able to pick from, how does that make you the perfect man for this job?
Well, you can fix problems. You got to be a problem solver, and there's enough knowledge of various schemes and things that come up that it can help you solve some problems. So you want to be able to solve problems.
Yeah, we love that, man. And it seems like a big part of your problem solving is not so much the player, but the person. Correct. I listened to your opening press conference, and you talk so much about the player, about the emotion behind it, about the mentality behind it. Where does that come from, and why is that so important?
You know, when I got into coaching because of the relationship that I had with my position coach. And, you know, when you go to HBCUs, it's all about relationships, right? You know, the chance of someone going to the league is slim, and but it's about the relationships. And so you realize that these guys care about you as a person, not just you as a player. And that stuck with me, right? That stuck with me. And so then as I started to coach, and you go from place to place, and you start to develop relationships with different players. And then when I got to Bowie State, I was there really when I was at Jeanerette High School. And those players connected and vibed with them. It was a high school. It was a small rural high school in Jeanerette, Louisiana. But those players really connected and vibed, right? And I realized, man, this relationship thing is real. Like, these players will run through a brick wall for you if they care about you off the field and they feel like you care about them, right? Yeah. That's giving them a ride home after practice instead of them walking home, whatever it may be. Well, then getting to Bowie State, you know, the resources weren't as great, right? And so you have guys that are, you know, maybe have a meal plan, they're not on full scholarship. And so you have a player be like, Coach, I haven't, you know, like, why are you late? Coach, I was trying to get something to eat, or this guy's losing weight, you know, and I haven't been eating. Then I got to go get you some food. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so,
for sure, man.
And so we would, at Bowie State, every Friday, we would, home games, we would either go over one of my coach's house, Aaron Kitchen, who's from Glen Arden. We would either go over his house and have the defense over there, or, you know, and we would have, you know, his wife would cook, or my family would cook and we're bringing food. And that may be the only good meal that a lot of those players were having. But it's about the relationships, right? And so it's no reason why those guys that Saturday would go out and go through the wall for you.
Yeah.
You know, you just fed them. And I mean, but in terms of because they needed to eat, you know,
exactly,
or, you know, they have some issue on campus or they weren't going to class, you know, well, if they're not going to class, rather than run you, I'm going to go to class with you. I'm going to make sure I'm sitting up in there with you just to make sure you go to class and stay to class. So now they're like, man, Coach really care. Like he up in class with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not that he want to be, but he's just making sure I'm here. So, because at the end of the day, it's about those guys getting a degree. Yeah. And so it wasn't about the football. It was about them getting a degree. And you use football as a tool to help them get their degree, because without that, they would not have got a degree. So you try to sneak a degree in on them. But it pays off until they get old enough to understand why you were doing what you were doing.
Right.
And so that's where it all stems from. And it just carries over. And so I remember I was not initially looking to go to the NFL because people were saying, the guys in the NFL, it ain't about relationships. It's about the money.
Right.
And that's the biggest misconception. You know, when players figure out at any level that you can help them and you can help extend their career, it's the same. And then the relationship aspect just continue to grow with that. And so when I first got to the league in 2016, we drafted Xavier Howard. And me and X became really close. You know, he's like a little brother to me. And but it was all because of the relationships. So,
and your relationships are known. Like, you've seen you be a part of some of the better secondaries that we have seen in the NFL. And a lot of that has to do with those relationships. And I know when we hired you, I saw your resume, and the first person I thought of, Mikey Sanderson. Then I think of Trey Amos. Then I think of Quan Martin. Then I think of Will Harris. And all of these young guys that we have in the secondary that need a leader like you, that need somebody to reach out that hand. Yeah. How can you bring the best out of those guys that are already on this roster?
Continue, one, to get to know them in that way. Having conversations with them. One, figuring out what's their why. You know, and then how they're motivated, you know, and then tapping into that, sharing with them some stories, getting to know, you know, like Mikey's wife and kids and their and how having his two little girls putting a smile on his face, just that alone, right? Just that alone can tap into a growth to another level, and so you, again, it's what is the phrase? They don't care what you know until they know how much you care. That's what it is.
For sure.
That's what it is.
And you carry that, and that's easier said than done in the NFL, especially at this level, because at an HBCU, right, like you said, there's a lack of resources. Yeah. There's also amount of time that you're able to get with that. Correct. Your time, you don't have a lot before training camp. You don't have a lot before this draft. Yeah. How can you foster those relationships? How do you plan to do that with such a short amount of time here is very different than it is at the other levels you've seen.
Well, you can't have unique results without unique relationships and a unique process. And so to either start to try to have those unique results, it starts with unique relationships. You can try to jump to the process, but that process won't be unique until you have those unique relationships. Yeah. And then that process allows you to, one, now that I have the relationship with you, now I can figure out how do you learn? You know, what type of learner are you? Now I can figure out how to then reach you mentally. That way you can pick up the schemes that you need to be able to be successful. But if I don't invest in you, then I can't ask you to invest in the scheme or in this team.
There's a lot of psychology.
Oh, I was a psychology major.
Well, at the same time, I'm listening to you talking. I'm like, man, there is so much psychology behind your thought process. Okay, so that's where that comes from. It comes from being a psychology major. But it seems to have helped you. It seems to have helped you get to that point. And speaking of psychology, something you said that pointed out to me, and now it makes a little more sense. They wanted you to use a buzzword, and you chose not to, which, shout out to you, smart man. That was a good call. But you did use a word called joy. You said when you watch our defense, you see these guys on the field, you're going to see joy. That is not always synonymous with defenses, right? You think of like anger, you think of grit. Why is joy the one thing that you want to stand out with this squad?
Because it's the one thing that gets lost in competition, guys fighting for jobs. This profession is a job, right? And so, you know, when that player is in college, they're having fun. They're just having fun. And you can lose the fun of the sport, because it is a sport at the end of the day, but you can lose sight of that. And so it's why when I was younger, I enjoyed watching college sports over professional sports.
And most people do.
Because you see those guys that are out there, it's different, right? Yeah. It's the college atmosphere, it's the fans, but you can have that same thing at the professional level. And so the joy, you know, guys genuinely, these are grown men that is jumping around, having war dances, celebrating one another because they're genuinely joyful and proud and happy for another man's success. That's why.
And, Coach, we are all truly happy and joyful for your success, man. It's so great to sit here and talk to you. I can sit and talk to you for another 30 minutes, but we know you're a busy man. You got to go, Coach. We appreciate you just taking the time, pulling up here on Next Man Up. And I'm sure this is the first of many, Coach.
Of course.
Again, congratulations. And, again, welcome home, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. Commanders family, our Next Man Up and our new defensive coordinator, Daronte Jones. And he a Q. Shout out to the Q Dogs.